Alrighty, welcome in everybody. We are going to be playing a Modern League here today with another Asmora deck that I have sort of brewed up here. So Asmora is kind of Asmora Nomardica Dicina Koldakar, the mess of a word that is this creature. Has sort of fallen out of favor in recent modern tournaments. So it's not one that very many people are playing anymore. That being said, I still think it's a pretty powerful effect. However, it folds pretty hard to graveyard hate. So if like you play a Rest in Peace to lock out the Oval Chase Daredevil Underworld Cookbook lock, then it gets a lot harder for you to keep the Asmora loop going. It also shuts off, the second ability of Underworld Cookbook and a lot of the other synergies that most of those decks generally play. Today we're playing a variant of this deck that plays Heliod, the Sun-Crowned, Auriok Champion, and Walking Ballista, with Ranger Captain of Eos as a creature that can tutor up Walking Ballista or Asmora. So kind of a unique build that I haven't seen anybody try yet. And we're sort of pulling the deck in two different directions. But there is a lot of overlap between the two strategies, so I think that this could definitely be interesting. For example, Underworld Cookbook making food every turn gives you life gain, which triggers Heliod's ability. Obviously, as Auriok Champion is just a very solid threat in the current metagame with a lot of red and black threats running around. So I do think the card is somewhat interesting to be main decking right now. So yeah, we're just gonna, queue this up and see how it goes, see if it feels interesting at all or if it's just kind of a pile. Okay, unfortunately we don't have the turn 1 answer to the Ragavan. They found an Auriok Champion. That would have been a pretty good hit for us. Okay, they found a Dalthy Voidwalker. Does that change my play here? If we activate the cookbook now, any card that we discard is going to go to the graveyard rather than exile. I think I would prefer to have just a Marshflats in the graveyard, just sort of take, the maximum amount of opportunity away from my opponent as far as what the Voidwalker can do. Heliod is a pretty solid draw, I would say. We'll go ahead and we will activate Cookbook again, and I'm going to go ahead and discard this Ranger Captain. Perhaps it's more correct to discard Walking Ballista just because the Ranger Captain's kind of a free roll if we get that going. Also, Walking Ballista is not a card that they can cast off of Dalthy and have any reasonable value out of it. Gonna go grab another Cookbook. I'm actually not gonna cast this one. Maybe I should. Maybe I should just go ahead and cast it. Just kind of get it down. I don't know. The consideration is like you can discard Cookbook to Cookbook, and this is like mostly negligible. It's bad if we draw exactly Oval Chase Daredevil, but yeah, let's just go ahead and cast it. Why not? And I'm going to hold back the Asmo ability until they, you know, go through their combat step. I'm going to try and kill the Dalthy with it. I'm basically just going to do this at the least, or at the last second possible. I want to take the Dalthy off the table. The Ragavan is currently being checked by the Asmora, but just being in play. So if they point a removal spell at the Asmora, we're going to kill the Ragavan, but... Yep. So they can Dalthy back Asmora if they want to, I guess, but... it just doesn't do much, really. And now we get to Ranger Captain for like just the other half of our combo. So we just get to go find Walking Ballista. And we have Heliod. So next turn, we can go Ballista for 2. The following turn, if my opponent still has not drawn anything and we just draw another land in our top 2, we can just go Heliod plus activate on the Ballista. That's a Goyf. Okay, so currently... and we're just going to play out the Ballista. So currently, at face value, we are just dead to the board in 2. But they're dead to shocking this and playing this. Giving this lifelink. So if they just like attack for 6, play a Goyf, they're just dead. And I'm just going to let the attack hit me. I don't know if the pump fake is like really worth it there, but maybe it just makes them think about it for a second. I don't know. Are they on Liliana? Kind of feels like a Liliana. Okay, it's another Dalthy. I don't think green mana up is going to do anything for them. But just in case it does, we'll go ahead and sack the Ranger Captain. Okay, save targets, always yield. Save targets, always yield. And you're dead. Alrighty. So playing against some creatures. Prismatic Ending is up for consideration. Kaya is pretty solid against the monkey and other 1-drops, things of that nature. It's also not bad against Tarmogoyf. It's not that good against Dalthy. Unearth is not very good against Dalthy. The Thought Seizes are not very good in this particular matchup, so I think I'm in on the 4 Prismatic Endings. And then what else do we want? Probably want the 4th Lingering Souls over... just a Street Wraith. And then we probably want a Kaya over a Heliod. I think I like this iteration. Boarding with a deck like this can be difficult because you do have a lot of, well, for one thing, it's generally difficult to board with the green-white Heliod deck, in my personal opinion, just because you have a lot of redundant pieces that sort of all fill in the same game plan, but it's weird to sort of trim on number. You don't really want to cut any one tool in specific because they're like it's just like I sort of worded that way. They're all tools in one way or another. So it feels kind of similar in this deck where like you don't necessarily want to trim all the Auriok champions, but it's not that great against Tarmogoyf, but it's pretty good against Ragavan, that kind of thing. It also gains you life. It's really good with Heliod. So yeah, this hand seems pretty reasonable. It's a play a turn 1 cookbook with Daredevil loop going, and we have Street Wraith to cycle. We have a potential turn 2 champion. Yeah, this is fine. It's not ideal, but it's fine. If I had to guess, they're probably going to take the Heliod or the champion. They might also take cookbook just because they don't want this loop to start. But if I had to guess, they probably have more artifact hate than they do for like enchantments and creatures with pro black and red, so they'll probably discard one of these. Interesting. Okay. So I'm going to try and line up turn 2 Auriok Champion into turn 3 Heliod, and we're going to play Saga on turn 3 rather than turn 2. That way we can start triggering the Auriok Champion's ability and getting some +1/+1 counters on it with the Heliod. Synergy is pretty powerful against red-black decks in general. Dash the monkey, eh? Okay, they hit a Ranger Captain. Just gonna go grab a Godless Shrine. And again, we're gonna go for white Auriok Champion. And I don't think there's any reason to cycle Street Wraith here just yet. We'll just hold them for now. You really want Street Wraith to be a cycle on a turn where you intend to play Asmora. So if we draw into another copy of Ranger Captain, or if we draw into an Asmora, then having the Street Wraith in hand is a lot better. Obviously, we could get got by a Liliana here. It's like just a Tarmogoyf. And I'm going to always, yes, always yield. That's my mistake. Yeah, the original list that I made did not have Street Wraith in it. I think I was playing Liliana's in the original list. Yeah, let me go ahead and fix that here for you real quick. Okay, that should be updated now. Yep, okay. Let's just start on a Street Wraith cycle. Ooh. Found Asmora. I think that's more tempting than playing out Heliod this turn. So like, play Asmora, Prismatic Ending the Tarmogoyf. Although I guess we don't have another colored source, so let me see if I can hit a colored source off this second Street Wraith. On Lingering Souls, also a very good hit here. I guess that makes me want to... Nah, I don't know, actually. Yeah, let's just get Asmora down while we have the discard for the turn. I was somewhat tempted to try and line up Heliod this turn, and then the following turn play Lingering Souls, and that would be an absolute mess for my opponent to have to deal with. I kind of wonder if I'm supposed to Prismatic Ending the monkey, but if I'm being honest, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, we just have the Auriok champion to check it, and Asmora is also here to check it. Couple really good lines that turn. I don't think any of them are, you know, super incorrect, that kind of thing. Well, I guess we're gonna get punished for not Prismatic in the monkey if they choose to play a Liliana here, and they're not. Notably, they're not on a Lurrus list, so they could very well be on the Liliana list. Okay, attack for 5. Let's go for the Daredevil loop thing. And honestly, I think at this point we just kind of want to keep hitting our land drops, especially because we're going to lose this Saga in a couple turns, but just have to see. Are we decaying? Oh, trophy the Saga. Interesting. Okay. We'll grab a plains. I think white mana is more relevant than black. Okay, well, given that they've done that... I think I'll go ahead and just cast the front half of Lingering Souls. Does the Liliform Blight actually kill a Saga like Spreading Seas does? It does. Any of the enchantments that say the enchanted land loses all land types and abilities. It doesn't even have to say loses all land types. It just has to say loses all abilities. So Alpine Moon, Spreading Seas. Well, Spreading Seas specifically says it like becomes an island, but you know, same difference. It does work the way you want it to. And Liliform Blight replaces itself. It draws you cards 2 mana, whereas Vindicate's 3, so I think it's more correct to be on Liliform Blight. If you want an answer to specifically Urza's Saga. Now obviously Vindicate's a more well-rounded answer. Vindicate's better, you know, against probably a number of different threats, whereas Liliform Blight's only going to be good against a specific subset of lands, that kind of thing. What is this? Wonder if this is Jund Charm. Culligan's command. Destroy my artifact and I discard a card. Wonder if I'm supposed to care about the Goyf at this point. think I'm just gonna discard the prismatic ending. Might seem a little bit weird, but I think just like piling on Heliod into Auriok Champion and Auriok Champion into the second half of Lingering Souls, like it's gonna be really, really hard for my opponent to beat this. All I need to do is just draw a land next turn, and it's going to be very difficult for my opponent to beat that. Even after they take one of these Auriok Champions. Because, I mean, even if we don't draw land, the Heliod's still going to be a creature next turn, so that's good. I don't think I'm going to jump. Really good for us. We're gonna go ahead and cast Auriok Champion to start. And we have a 5/5 with Indestructible. We're going to make the let's make the Auriok Champion huge. I think it makes more sense to have a really big creature with pro black red rather than flyer. We'll just flashback Lingering Souls. And that's gonna cause these to trigger 4 times, and now we're gonna have a 6/6. Always yield. Yes. Always yes. So we got a 6/6 and a whole bunch of other features here. Seems like it's gonna be pretty difficult for my opponent to beat this. So gonna throw the Heliod in front of the Tarmogoyf next turn in combat, and then just check this here. If we get to our next turn, I'm probably just going to cast this Daredevil and pump up my guys some more. So funnily enough, I think it's more correct to actually cast Ranger Captain here. Trigger the Auriok Champions twice. Go grab a Walking Ballista, cast it for 0, and then trigger the Champions again for twice. Okay. That's probably one of the matchups we're supposed to win pretty easily. Just having 3 main deck Auriok Champions against Jund is probably means for a pretty swift matchup, that kind of thing. We never saw why they weren't playing Lurrus, so my guess is there was probably some Lilianas somewhere in that list, maybe some Bloodbraid Elves, that kind of thing, but we only saw 2-mana creatures. We saw Dalthi, Tarmogoyf, Ragavan, that kind of stuff. It's very typical creatures out of them. It's the Lurrus build for now. I know some Jund players are choosing to play Blood Moon in their sideboard, so maybe that's the reason for no Lurrus, but one of the cool things that I really like about this deck, yeah, mostly just this version in general, is that the black-white version gets access, or even like if you wanted to play red-white too, you can technically do this, just the white version of Asmora decks. You get access to Ranger Captain, which is effectively just 4 more copies of Asmora, So your deck is very redundant on copies of Asmora, very similar to how the green-black version of Asmora was, where you have the 4 copies of Finale of Devastation. And it's certainly possible that Finale of Devastation is just like slightly better because it puts it into play, and you can also tutor it from the graveyard, that kind of thing. So, you know, it's obviously got a little bit more utility being able to grab other creatures in your deck. But Ranger Captain being a 3/3 that's also just like really, really good against the Cascade decks is really appealing to me. That's one of the big things that I like about this deck. You know, generally I would say that the Asmora decks, they're pretty favored against Rhinos, and I would say they're pretty favored against even Glimpse of Tomorrow to some degree. But the Living In matchup has never been really super great. But with the addition of Ranger Captain, Living In's like pretty easy. It's pretty easy to win, actually. You just, you know, they cascade, you just sack your Ranger Captain. Makes it a lot harder on them. You got a couple Thought Seizes to help fight in that matchup, so you also have Unearth, which is like, you know, having a couple extra copies of Ranger Captain, being able to like recycle that ability is pretty substantial in matchups like that. You also have just the win con, just the 2-card win con of Heliod Heliod plus Walking Ballista, which is pretty cool. This hand is great. If they play a creature early, we're gonna go Bone Shards, pitching Lingering Souls, and then we get to play an Asmora off that discard. That's only good, assuming that we have to do that on turn 2, I suppose. If we have to do it on turn 1, it's less good, but still just like pitching Lingering Souls, get some value out of that. It's pretty cool. I think I'm gonna lead on turn 1 tapped Godless Shrine. Opponent is mulligan to 5. Another thought to the mana base, pretty common to see a Triumph with all the endings around clearing for Indotha. No, I disagree completely. I'm pretty firmly on the side of, you know, there's no reason to really mess with your mana base. I mean, if you look at the cards that we're trying to cast in this deck, there is, you know, it's a multitude of 1 mana spells, 2 mana spells, things that you really want to play on curve. You know, if we have to wait a turn on a Thoughtseize and then we get to play like a, you know, a turn 2 Auriok Champion, there's just no reason to be playing an Indotha Triome, generally speaking. We're not playing that many fetch lands to find it anyways, and you don't generally need a 3rd color for things like Prismatic Ending. The Prismatic Endings are not even main deck, to be clear. They're sideboard cards, so I would argue that it's not the direction you want to take your mana base. I'm pretty firmly on the side of, you know, play cleaner mana, not you know, more utility based mana. Opponent has played an island and passed. Go to the instep, fetch, make a construct, untap, and make a construct. We'll go grab a Underworld Cookbook. I know this gives my opponent more information, but I think that's okay. It's really not that big of a deal. I'll just kill them as quickly as possible. Might consider portable hull over prismatic to synergize with constructs in that case. I could see an argument for that. I'm not generally a fan of portable hull. I get what you're saying. It's like 1 mana to trade for 2, and there are going to be spots where technically portable hull is better than prismatic ending, but generally speaking, with the number of artifact hate cards like Kolaghan's Command, you know, with those sideboard cards being so prevalent, I don't want to just like have my removal spell be able to be blown up and then they get their threat back, that kind of thing. You know, if I spend 1 mana to answer a Wrenn and 6 or whatever, and my opponent just points, you know, 1 copy of a Shattering Spree at it to get the Wrenn and 6 back, it feels pretty bad. So, you know, like just Prismatic Ending being a clean answer. And it's not like the end of the world that we can't make 3 colors of mana just with our mana base. We can make a 3rd color of mana with the Springleaf Drum in the deck, which is tutorable by Urza Saga. So if it's necessary, we have the option. But I just don't see it like coming up all that often. A majority of the cards that you're wanting to remove with Prismatic Ending are 1 and 2 mana. So my opponent's on blue something. We didn't see a single card out of them. I'm gonna assume that Lingering Souls and Thoughtseize are probably okay. If I had to guess, I guess I didn't really see what they were on though. I don't know. I'll trim the Unearth. Maybe Unearth is just good if they're just like on a counterspell deck, but they might be on like Rest in Peace or something. I don't know. I'll trim like an Auriok Champion just for Thoughtseizing Lingering Souls. Yep, not a ton of knowledge from what we got in game 1, but we'll just bring in a couple cards here and there and see how it goes. This hand seems very reasonable. This hand has a turn 1 Asmora into Daredevil Loops. Turn 1 Misty from my opponent. Cycle Street Wraith. I don't know what this is, but I'm in 1000%. Hey, my dude. I like this deck. I think it's interesting so far. It is an Asmora deck, which I would say Asmora is falling out of favor as a card in Modern. I think it falls apart a little bit too easily, and it you know, doesn't stand up to the card Asmora itself does not stand up to removal spells all that well. Yeah, Sanctifier is pretty good here. I wasn't sure if they were on white. There was a part of me that was like, maybe I should just preemptively board in the Prismatic Endings, but we do not currently have an answer to that aside from the Ballistas. I'll go ahead and play out Saga. No attack. Play out of Marsh Flats. We're going to start making some constructs. I think the general idea, Jacob, is mostly just that Heliod's not really a combo that you see too much right now in Modern. You know, even with just like the Collected Company combo deck. I feel like that deck probably folds a little bit too easily to like just creature hate. So if you can sort of split the middle, if you just kind of split it right down the middle and have like this half artifact synergy deck and half creature combo deck, I think it gets a lot harder to sideboard against, but it might just be a little bit too slow. So I don't know. We'll have to see. So far, the games have been interesting. We did kill one player with the Heliod combo. And we were gonna die in that game. Like I just went to I went turn 4, Walking Ballista for 2, turn 5, Heliod plus activate. And they died. They might bounce Urza's Saga here, which would be annoying. But we do get a construct out of the deal, so it's not that big of a deal. They're bouncing as Mora. That's fine. Go on, attack. Nope. Okay. Grab a Plains. I think Plains is the more relevant color in this deck. Do I want to Saga here, or do I want to just like redeploy like Heliod or something? I think I'm into Saga. Let's make another construct. Let's just grab a drum. And let's discard an Asmora. Play Asmora. Play Saga and play Cookbook. And let's attack. I actually think I'm gonna attack them for 6. Let's put them to 10. Like this Teferi's kind of already done his thing, so. Okay. Probably gonna get Wrathed. Correct, yeah, you can't target protection from black and red. Not with a black or red card. So I'm just gonna swing out at them, and then it's just like they're just gonna verdict the board. This might have been an incorrect play not to kill the Teferi, because now they get to instant speed Supreme Verdict every turn, which is a little annoying for sure. Swing this at the Teferi for shits and giggles, I guess. But they are dead to the construct attacks if they just don't have anything. I wonder if perhaps they are trying to... It's prismatic ending? Wow, what a weird attack from my opponent. Okay, maybe I guess I just read them wrong. Evidently, I should have just attacked them with everything. You're going prismatic ending, snap prismatic ending, okay. I'm gonna discard this cookbook and we're gonna kill the snap. I would like to take the Teferi off the table, if possible. They're going after the Asmora. I don't think I can lethal them, but... Well, I definitely can't lethal them, but I can put a couple more points on board here. I think that's fine. And we'll just play out the Marsh Flats. I could have activated Cookbook and like discarded one of our cards, but I think I'd rather just try and, you know, start casting some of these. I might start pitching these Daredevils just because they're not going to get through the Sanctifier anyways, so... Okay, fetching with Marsh Flats. My opponent is fetching in response. Right, we call the Shrine. I think here... It's so bad against Supreme Verdict. Like, if that's the card they have, like, me just spending 3 mana on Saga is kind of bad. But I suppose don't really have much of a choice. Yeah, let's grab Shadow Spear, I think. I'm not gonna equip it, but I'll grab it. And here, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna cast Heliod. And then we have 2 attackers. This is bad if they have Cryptic Command. They get to go counter tap or whatever, but playing the Heliod now is better against Supreme Verdict. Because if I go to combat attack, then they Supreme Verdict, then we don't get to tap this for mana. Yeah. And as annoying as that is, now we have Cookbook Daredevil loop going again, because they verdicted their own Sanctifier and back away. And then we get to untap with Urza Saga next turn as well. If we draw a land, no land, but Thoughtseize is good though. Land would have been really good, but Thoughtseize is pretty good. And what a hand here. Factor Fiction, Prisma. I think I probably would have cast Foff in response. Maybe not. I don't know, actually. Yeah, I'll take their Foff and then like leave them with Prismatic Ending. And then they still have to beat this Urza Saga. Obviously, the counterspells are good, but only because like they have 3 of them. They're not very good against Lingering Souls in general. Interestingly, they chose not to instant speed Prismatic Ending, which is probably correct, but to sort of take their turn away, all that mana that they had floating. We're gonna go ahead and make a construct, and then we're gonna make it a couple extra points bigger. Go ahead and Saga again. Make another construct. Got a couple 10-10s. We'll grab another cookbook. Lay out this courtyard. Attack for 11. Add them because they're dead to the attack for 11. Making prismatic ending it, and then now their hand is currently 3 copies of Counterspell. At this point, we can, in response to this, just crack a food and then put the counter on Heliod. And then the construct is dead. My opponent has successfully fought through 3 copies of Urza's Saga. And this game has become so much harder because I just didn't kill the Teferi the first turn that I have the opportunity to do so. Just because they've been able to cast sorceries at instant speed. Ranger Captain's pretty A-okay draw. Is another 2-for-1 card. So here I am going to go ahead and just cast Lingering Souls. Suppose I could cast Daredevil. This deck seems fine. You know, so far we haven't played against anything like super relevant or scary, but the matchups have seen very playable so far. So I think the deck looks interesting and cool. So and it does what I was sort of predicting pretty well. So happy with it so far. I honestly don't know what my opponent's plan is here, because I know that they're holding 3 copies of Counterspell. Yeah, if only tokens counted as devotion, wouldn't that be sweet? So I guess like we just send in for 4 at them, and then just like see what they do. Obviously, like if they have Supreme Verdict, that's I guess worst case scenario, but not much we can do about Supreme Verdict here. Yeah, they plus Teferi. Looks like another copy of Supreme Verdict. Yep. So they can cast 1 counterspell. I'll just go ahead and cast Daredevil, and they'll probably counterspell it. And then we'll pick up both Daredevils with the cookbook. You got it. Just go grab a Godless Shrine, we can pass priority. Next turn, we'll just cast another Daredevil. And my opponent's just kind of treading water now. Playing around Shadow of Doubt. Yep, I suppose. Go ahead and just cast the Daredevil again. Well, they didn't counter this one. I'm gonna go ahead and like just give them a card 2 counter. Just gonna play out the Ranger Captain. They have to spend a counter spell here. Sure. Bounce the Daredevil. Sanctifier and Vec. Well, I guess I should have technically cycled Daredevils there, but it's not that big of a deal. Well, that's a pretty reasonable draw. Cast Lingering Souls. Counter spell. That's the third one we knew about. Cast Lingering Souls again. You got a force negation? I was like, why are we tanking? Like, just gonna go ahead and move the Shadow Spear to the Spirit. Say go. Neat trick about this deck is that now we can pump the spirits at instant speed with the food tokens because we have Heliod in play. So we gain some life with the food, which triggers Heliod. We can move counters to the spirits. Notably, my opponent is plussing Teferi rather than bouncing a spirit. This tells me that they just have... Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna do this, I guess. And that triggers the Heliod, and we can... What is going on? What? My opponent's hand is not Supreme Verdict? I don't understand. Well, we still have the ability to crack 3 food. Are you just dead? Did I do it? Man, I have another prismatic ending. So much stuff to fight through. Wait, my opponent's out of cards at this point. I'm just gonna fetch. Just grab our last land, say go. Yeah, Sanctifier out of blue eye control is cheats, I agree. It's like just a hair annoying because like I just never board in the answers. To be clear though, we did in the pre-boarded game in game 1, we just didn't see anything out of them. They just didn't cast anything. This is a cryptic command? Fact or fiction? Okay. Well, I'm gonna put counter spell in one pile. Can I beat that? Can I beat like them just factoring gusting away all my artifacts? Probably not. All right, you got it. Whatever. we'll go to the next one and we'll have a better game because now I know what you're playing. So the Oriok Champion's not very good. Prismatic Ending in some degree is fine. Nice, dude. Yeah, I like the black-red list. I've been sort of tinkering around with some minor changes, but I think it's been pretty good for the most part. I don't think there's really any changes that need to be made to that list. I don't know if I want all 4 prismatic endings, probably just like a couple, maybe 3 is the right number. Maybe it makes more sense to play Kaya's Guile instead of prismatic ending. Kaya's Guile's instant speed makes them sacrifice creature, and like it makes their snapcasters worse. The Thought Seizes are good though. Crucible is for this matchup. You are absolutely correct. Heli is not very good. Like all the time. Like this is kind of a matchup where they don't really care about Heliod. They just kind of leave it in play. And just drawing multiple Heliods can be pretty bad. Yeah, no, I agree completely. Crucible every turn, or Saga every turn off Crucible is pretty solid. Yeah. This hand's slow, but it's got 2 Lingering Souls. I'm gonna keep it. I think I'm actually gonna play Saga on turn 3, because I'm just gonna go Lingering Souls into like start activating Saga after that. Maybe I'll play it on turn 2. Maybe I'll just go like turn 2 Walking Ballista. Just like make them answer the Ballista. I don't hate that. Explosives on 1. You got it, bud. I currently don't have any 1-mana spells in my hand. Nor did I play one on turn 1. Well, now I've drawn one, however. That's just annoying. That's just rude, my opponent. It's the downside with leading on Saga on turn 2, I suppose. Maybe our best draw is probably just, well, that's pretty good against our Asmoras. I'll go ahead and just play out Lingering, or Cookbook, and we'll probably be ditching one of these Lingering Souls at end of turn, just so I can go ahead and start casting some souls. I'll just hold for now, like see if we hit a land drop. Crucible's gonna be really good if we can resolve it. I'm gonna ditch the Lingering Souls and we'll go ahead and... Okay. Pretty okay with trading the back half of a Lingering Souls with an Archmage's Charm. I think I'm gonna just go for the same play. We're just gonna make some more souls. Well, that's pretty good against souls. Need to, not really sure what we can draw at this point. The Chalice of the Void is pretty dirty here. We also don't have any answers to the Chalice, unfortunately, because we didn't board in any prismatic endings. Yeah, our entire board is in fact bricked by a 2/2, which is really bad for us. Unfortunately, I think we just have to pass in this spot. Like, I think we just need to, now they get to start scrying with Cancel Vantress, which is really bad for us. Just like they're just inching far enough ahead. The Spreading Seas on turn 2 for the Saga was just kind of the nail in the coffin for this game. We just fell too far behind whenever they just Stone Rained us on turn 2. Yeah, it's a Sharknado. You know? Well, that's good for us. I almost wish that would have just resolved and they had just cracked it. That would have been phenomenal for us. They would have blown up their own shark. They would have killed our foods and our spirits, but they would have blown up their E, their chalice, and their shark. So can we just like let that trigger slide? It's fine, dude. It doesn't have to get countered. It's not that big of a deal. Well, we're gonna try and fight as much as we can through their stuff. So we're gonna lead on a must counter threat. I think the Ranger Captain is the most threatening card that we have. Interestingly, though, it just resolved. So I suppose next turn, if we get to untap with Ranger Captain, I'm probably just gonna throw it in the bin, and we're gonna cast this Crucible, try and start getting our Saga going again. I think ideally for me, next turn, we go attack with Ranger Captain at the Teferi, and they cycle another Shark, and then we get to sack Ranger Captain in combat, so it's not that big of a deal. So if they leave up enough mana for like Counterspell or something, they still can't cast Counterspell, and then we can just land the Crucible. Heliod's not a bad draw either. So I'm going to throw this at the Teferi here to start. And if it just dies, great. They may also just like make a castle. Yeah, it looks like they're making a 1/1. Man, this is a... Yes. Both dead. Crucible of Worlds. Do you have Force of Negation? Play my Urza Saga out of the graveyard. Okay, we got a game plan. They might have Fracturing Gust here. Teferi. Okay, 5 mana Teferi. How am I gonna outpace 5 mana to fairy? I think this turn I'm just gonna send the 1 point at Little Tef so they can't bounce the Crucible. Go ahead and make Construct. I think if they have Fracturing Gust, probably just gonna concede. This looks like a Fracturing Gust. Yep. Okay, we're done. Not beating this card. It's pretty unfortunate. I do think that matchup is like probably in our favor. We just have to. I just didn't know what they were playing in game 2, and then in game 3 we just kind of stumbled a little bit too hard, and it's unfortunate. But we'll go on to game 3 or our third match, and see how it goes. So yeah, if you're just now tuning in, basic idea behind this deck is that generally I would say that the Asmora decks are sort of falling out of favor, and perhaps if blue-white control continues to be popular, it's probably not a very good deck in that particular matchup. I do think we're like slightly favored, but Asmora as a card in general is not really that great in that matchup, that kind of thing. But Lingering Souls is obviously very powerful in that matchup. You do need to be able to make your land drops to keep that going. I did trim the 21st land from this deck, so it's possible, and I was sort of feeling that effect in that last match, so it's possible that maybe I just want to put the 21st land back in here. This one's keepable. I think I will cycle Street Wraith on one. We don't currently have anything to really do on one aside. Well, no, I guess I can just play out Cookbook. Yeah, we'll just play out Cookbook. It's fine. Cycling Street Wraith on one's only good if we had exactly Asmora or the Daredevil. Goblin Guide. Well, have I got some bad news for you there, friend? This seems like a terrible matchup for Burn. I'm about to cast an Auriok Champion. My opponent has stopped me in my upkeep. What? My opponent says what? Yes. I would like to gain 1 life. No attacks. Okay, I'll discard this Daredevil. I feel like my opponent's probably going to concede here at some point, like relatively soon, but we'll see. Let's go ahead and just crack this. Unearth on top. Block here. I would like to gain 3. Do the Daredevil thing. Alright, opponent's off it. We'll bring in these cards because they gain more life. And I guess I'll bring in these because it deals with Eidolon and like the enchantments that say you can't gain life. And then Unearth's not bad. I don't think we really need Walking Ballistas in this matchup. It's not really a matchup where you want to combo. It just kind of like kill my opponent. And then Thought Seizes are not very good. Lingering Souls probably worse than Street Rest in all honesty. Lingering Souls do gain a lot of life with Auriok Champion, but we're just going to gain a lot of life in a billion different ways, so. Can't keep this one. Okay. I feel like that matchup's probably about 80 to 90% in our favor, and my opponent agreed. They were off of it before the game even started, so. One of the bad things about playing Burn in this particular format is every now and again you're just gonna run into a food deck, and it just seems like a really bad matchup for you. Because I can just sit there with Oval Chase Daredevil and Cookbook, and nothing else matters. Just two lands. I've got Oval Chase Daredevil and a Cookbook, and the rest of the game just doesn't matter. Generally speaking. There's obviously, you know, like Roiling Vortex, you can't gain life, that kind of thing, but pretty one-sided. Okay, got our fourth match here. Playing against Sam Castermage. This hand's fine. I'll keep this one. I think I am gonna cycle Street Wraith on one. Hopefully we hit a Enismora or a Cookbook. I don't want to cast it. I want to cycle it. Urza Saga is not a bad draw. I should have let on Shrine. Shrine tapped. Is it Chalice? Chalice for 1. I think I am gonna just go ahead and deploy this Ballista. I wonder if playing Heliod is correct. So if I play Heliod, next turn we get to make 3 mana, use the Saga to go get Shadow Spear, and then they're dead. If they play Karn on 4, then Ballista no longer has any abilities. And the other artifact we get off of Saga is irrelevant for the most part. But I'll go for lethal. We'll try and set up lethal here. So an attack for 1. Okay, Blast Zone by itself doesn't do anything. This looks like it's probably going to be a Karn the Great Creator. Could also just be a... Okay, no, it is a Karn the Great Creator. So I was going to start to say it could just be a Ballista of their own. They grabbed a Sky Sovereign. Unfortunately, we can't cast the Springleaf Drum. I do think I'm supposed to go ahead and make a construct and we'll get the Daredevil loop going. Gonna attack Karn. Unfortunately, the cookbook doesn't do anything, but we still have some things we can do. Obviously, drawing a land is the best case scenario for us. And the Sky Sovereign is gonna be pretty annoying here. Maybe that's a reason to not go for construct there. Maybe we're just supposed to like play out Lingering Souls. Yep. Yeah, that's annoying. Okay. All right, I think we're off it. There's not really much we can do in this spot. We're too shut out. We do want the Prismatic Innings to help answer the Chalices. Maybe Kaya's not bad for Chalice as well. Our deck is pretty bad against Karn itself. So like that's the one card we gotta try and beat with this particular iteration. So we'll trim a cookbook. The Auriok champions are kind of irrelevant for the most part. The fact that they gain life, like when you play creatures, if you have Heliod in play, this is just a very good game plan against Karn, like if that's what they're doing. Obviously the Asmora game plan is good against their creatures. I don't think the Unearth is all that great. We'll just board out a Ranger Captain as well. Could bring in the Lithiform Blights. I don't hate that, but eh. Yeah, this hand seems pretty solid. We can go turn 1 Thoughtseize, take a relevant card away, and then start deploying some of our other cards. Unfortunately, we don't have double white for Ranger Captain, but that's okay. We have turn 2 Saga. I will lead on turn 1 Godless Shrine instead of Swamp because it gives us the option of playing turn 3 Ranger Captain if we draw a second white source. Because I'm more than likely going to want to deploy the Urza Saga either way, basically regardless of whether or not I draw a white source or not. Okay, Reality Smasher and Matter Reshaper. Well, those cards are kind of both not super scary, so I guess the Reality Smasher is technically more scary. But I guess Matter Reshaper comes down earlier, so I'll just take that. I don't think their hand is really all that relevant with where it's at right now. They played Power Plant. We'll just play out Saga. Play out this drum. Say go. Temple, no play. Fetid Heath is an alright draw. Here we're going to make a couple Saga tokens, and then we're going to go grab a cookbook and get that going. They can play a turn 3 Smasher. They do have to cycle this Warping Wheel to do it, but pretty okay with that if that's what their game plan is. This Reality Smasher is going to get checked pretty hard by these construct tokens within a matter of moments. Get a Karn? Oh man, that's annoying. Okay, not anything I can do about that, unfortunately. Okay, they put it up to 6. Make a construct. So we can... I can go ahead and activate Saga again, make these 3/3s, and then when this gets a thing, it's gonna make it a 4/4. Or I can Ranger Captain for Asmora. But I can't cast Asmora. I should probably just get some constructs in play. Just attack the Karn. So they can crack Blast Zone by tapping their other 3 lands, and they could blow up the drum in the cookbook, but that's not really that big of a deal. They can cast Reality Smasher as a blocker, but again, that's not really that big of a deal because we can just send both of them at the Karn. As long as this guy leaves the battlefield, that's really the only thing that matters. Even if they choose to -2 to draw a card with the Karn, really that's not that big of a deal. That's fine. This is only bad if they have Dismember. Grab Ratchet Bomb, okay. Well, Ratchet Bomb's pretty good against the constructs. Oh, this is just a bad idea. They showed me that they were getting Ratchet Bomb and then attacked into my 5/5. We're gonna go ahead and Ranger Captain. Then we're gonna grab Asmora. Play Asmora. After discarding, of course. I'm gonna grab a cookbook. I'm gonna activate the Springleaf Drum to play another cookbook. Make another food. Get in for 7, and then we're gonna activate the Ranger Captain on their turn. No non-creatures this turn. So they can throw some creatures in the way if they want, but the Asmora is going to eat those up pretty quickly, and then we can just start making some more foods with the cookbooks that we have in play. And we might be able to swing lethal here. It's like kind of unlikely, but if we draw another cookbook, we might be able to do it. It's another Reality Smasher, it looks like. Yep. I think here we're gonna go pitch Daredevil, pitch Daredevil. Kill the Reality Smasher. Get in for 10. And then play the Daredevil. That's fine. So Ratchet Bomb, that's going to answer the construct. And all the foods. Another Karn. This is Ballista, maybe? Chalice? Ballista. Okay, let's start by cycling Street Wraith. I kind of wonder if maybe I should have, you know, tried to play that a little bit differently. Maybe I'm supposed to like try and get the Overchase Daredevil back into play, but I don't think there's any way that I can do. Like, I basically have to, a little annoying. I guess I'm okay with this. Like, what's the difference if well, I guess I could just like have to discard the prismatic ending if I go that route. I don't really want to do that. We do lose the drum, which is like probably the most detrimental of the 3 that we lost. Godless Shrine's a good draw though. Means that we can go Cookbook, plus pick up Daredevil, and then activate the Cookbook. And then go ahead and play out the Daredevil. Now we've got a lethal threat and a food to gain a little bit of life, to put a +1/+1 counter on this if we want to. Hey Duo Yang. Doing okay? Is this an Ugin? It is an Ugin. That's annoying. I guess if they just plus though they're dead, right? Yeah, no, they just lose this to the prismatic ending. Thank you for 4. My Discord keeps going off. Okay, any changes that I want to make? Pithing Needle might be interesting, but like technically the most relevant part about Karn's ability is the just the static ability. It's not really the other parts of it. I kind of wonder if maybe Kaya's better than like a Lingering Souls. The thing about Kaya is that oh, that's true. Pithing Needle might be good against Blast Zone. That's probably relevant. Maybe I should have considered that a little longer. I don't think this hand's that bad. I think it's keepable. The thing about Kaya is that Kaya exiles things like Expedition Map. It also exiles Chalice of the Void. But also, it's a win condition if they are to lock us out with Karn and Ensnaring Bridge. Actually, like the only win condition that we would have at that point. I'm gonna go ahead and play out the Ballista. Thought Not Seer. Probably gonna lose my, well, I don't know, honestly. Probably the Ranger Captain if I had to guess. I think that's the best card in our hand, but I could be wrong. Took my Heliod. Interesting. Playing out Basilisk Collar. I'm gonna go ahead and play out Ranger Captain and grab another Ballista here, I think. That makes the most sense. And the next turn, if... well, I mean, we do have to draw a discard outlet is the problem, right? Yeah, that's a good card. Let's a good card when your opponent's kind of behind. Is that a discard outlet, chat? Looks like a discard outlet to me. So here we gotta go cookbook plus Kaya. And then like minus on the chalice. Get that one out of here. Play cookbook. Your turn. Okay, give the Reality Smasher Death Touch and Lifelink. That's fine. Notably, he's got Death Touch and Trample, so not gonna be able to like put enough toughness in front of this to save the Kaya here. Kaya just dead. Question is, do I want to put enough toughness in front of the Thought-Knot Seer to save that? And I don't think the answer to that one's yes either. I think I'm just gonna like go to the instep, pitch this probably Ballista. Yeah. Make a food. Untap. Auriok Champion. Oh, I think I'm in for Auriok Champion. Discard Marsh Flats. Out Asmora. Grab a cookbook. I'm not going to cast this cookbook because we can just hold it. And if we need to, I can discard one cookbook to the other to make some more foods. Like this is just another card in my hand, basically. Obviously, if we draw a Daredevil this next turn, it doesn't matter either way. Just play out the second cookbook and just start pitching, making some guys. But my opponent's falling behind on mana, and we just need a Daredevil at this point to kind of sort of, you know, stabilize the board to a degree that I'm happy with. I could just go ahead and kill the Thought-Knot Seer. That might be the most correct thing to do. I think I am just gonna let this hit me. Just be like, that's fine. I'll go to 6, and I'm gonna kill the Thought-Knot Seer. Okay, that's Matter Reshaper. That card's not all that relevant. Oh, yes. Sealed. Is this final card a Dismember? Chalice of the Void on 0. Oh, well, we can't do anything about that one. There's not really any reason to do that there. Well, we did it. So we'll kill the Thought-Knot Seer to start. Dismember the Asmora, eh? Well, this is mostly just annoying. Mostly just annoying, more than it is anything else. okay with it though. IZY91, appreciate the follow. Thanks for tuning in, man. Hope you're having a good Tuesday evening. Just gonna go ahead and make some foods, and we're going to prismatic ending the, I think it makes sense to prismatic ending here rather than wait. And just the chalice being in play again, I think is the most annoying card. Obviously we're going to have to put the ranger captain in front of the matter reshaper, and then we're gonna start cracking some foods, but should be okay. Just need to fade a Karn from them. Put them block like that. Revealed Cavern of Souls. Now they have 4 mana finally, so they can cast Karn, the Great Creator, here if they have one. Nothing. Okay, well, I'm gonna play this Plains out and say go, I suppose. I should attack for 1. I don't think it really matters. This thing's got lifelink. So our best draws at this point, probably like Urza Saga, Asmora. This is bad for me. Yeah, man. It's not really anything we could have done to avoid that, unfortunately. So here we can crack this to pick up Asmora. And then we'll activate Cookbook, discarding this Thoughtseize, play Asmora. We've got 2 foods. Grab our last cookbook. I think here, again, I'm just going to go ahead and kill the Thought-Knot Seer. I just want to be able to draw another card, in all honesty. Like, I'm just going to take 5, go to 1. And, this feels like it's probably a Karn, the Great Creator. Oof. Well, that's a reason not to go to 1. Okay. Well, that's rough. I don't know that there's anything really we could have done there. That seems like probably a rough matchup in general. They have Karn, the Great Creator, to sort of help them, you know, fight through all the cookbooks and things like that. So I will say that Eldrazi Tron is becoming somewhat more popular. So if that deck is continuing to be growing in popularity, then maybe this deck is probably not where you want to be, because that seems like a really rough matchup in all honesty. I did have a variant of this deck originally. I was playing Liliana of the Veil over Street Wraith, and the deck felt really cluttered on 3s, to be clear. Playing Ranger Captain, Heliod, Liliana, Lingering Souls, like all of these 3 drops. So I don't think that's the way to go. But it would make that matchup slightly better. You know, having more tools that aren't necessarily like artifact based, because, you know, our infinite combo is artifact based with Walking Ballista, and our removal, like our infinite removal plan with Asmora, is artifact based with cookbooks, things like that. So having tools that are not artifact based would probably help out in that matchup a little bit, but I'm gonna keep this, but it's a little slow. I wonder if this deck wants Ether Vials. Kind of feels like, to some degree, this deck kind of wants some Ether Vials to help sort of speed up what you got going with all the creatures and stuff. This probably seems like a rough matchup again. They're just playing Tron, and they just also have access to 4-mana Karn. They can play it on turn 3 more often than not, whereas the other Tron deck really can't do that too well. We have a couple Lithoform Blights in the sideboard, but those are not super great. They're okay. I think I'm going to play out a Lingering Souls. Lingering Souls is like slightly better against 7-mana Karn. 7-mana Karn does not deal with Lingering Souls all that well. That's my main consideration, but yeah, 7-mana Karn's still pretty good here, even and with that consideration. Yeah, I guess I'll give you a Ranger Captain. We're gonna cycle Street Wraith. We have an Asmora. I'm gonna go ahead and cast another Lingering Souls from my hand, and we will play out the Asmora from my hand. We'll grab a cookbook. We'll go ahead and hit Karn for 2. Put it down to 8 loyalty. But obviously this whole like just spewing of playing cards and stuff like that is pretty bad against Ugin, but there's not really much we can do about Ugin, so we'll just take our L against the Tron Menace. Yeah, all of that's also pretty good. I'll just give them an Asmora. I'm gonna pick him up here. I think even if we like just put 4 souls in play, it's probably just not gonna do very much against them with where they're at right now. So just move along to the next one. Just try and get them in games 2 and 3. So we probably want the Lithiform Blights and the Unearth. Thoughtseize, also not that bad. Cards that are not very good in this matchup. It's like Auriok Champion, and even like the Asmora package is really not that great, but we're gonna keep it in. There's not much else we can do. Yeah, you can try and ending their map. And I don't hate that. Probably bring in a couple endings for that. I wonder if we're just supposed to board out the whole Asmora package. Just like take out Asmoras. It just does very little in this matchup. Just like 1 cookbook. Seems incorrect. Seems like pretty wrong to do that. We'll trim on Heliod. Yeah, we need something. I mean, like the constructs are pretty good with cookbook. You know, you just have like a couple constructs with cookbook, beat them down with that. Reason I like Unearth is because you can go Ranger Cap and like sack it freely. You can sort of time walk them that way and then unearth it, and it's not that big of a deal. But I like the Unearth. Shadow Spear is not really that relevant. I should have considered that one. Shadow Spear is real bad. And then like probably Bone Shards in all honesty. Like if we're, I mean, I guess if we could Bone Shards a Karn, which is cool, but just trim a Street Wraith, I guess, over Bone Shards. Well. Yeah. This hand's fine. Ideally, I guess I'm going to bottom this Walking Ballista, because I'll just grab it with Ranger Captain. And we're going to go turn 1 Thoughtseize. Opponent has Natural Tron into Karn. So we'll take their Karn away. They rip the map. We have the prismatic ending for it, but I honestly don't even know if that matters really. I guess I'll go ahead and cast it. But it doesn't, it's like neither here nor there, honestly. Then do another map. Well, we're probably gonna die because we missed our 3rd land drop. The only way we won this game was if we made like our 3rd land drop into our 4th land drop into our 5th land drop. That was the only way we were winning this game. And my opponent's draws have been, you know, Natural Tron into Wormcoil Engine. Like we took their turn 3 threat and they just drew a turn 3 threat that replaced it. So it just kind of didn't matter. I'll go ahead and play out this Walking Ballista. I suppose suppose there's a world where we get to play this Heliod and like untap and activate Ballista, and we get to attack for 1 and put a counter on it, and like there's a world where that works, but it's pretty unlikely. No blocks. I'll go to 1, or 7 rather. 7 first, then 1. Bone shards, eh? Well, that doesn't do anything. All right, we're done. We are done here. Okay, that was a little bit of an unfortunate ending to that league. We ran into Tron in rounds 4 and 5, so Eldrazi Tron first and then regular Tron, obviously. But I still think this deck's probably pretty fine in general. I think you know, maybe we want some form of sideboard plan for Tron. I wasn't really considering that deck as a relevant threat in the current metagame, but I suppose that there are people picking Tron back up, and I probably should have been a little bit more prepared for it, so that's on me. I think if you want to board against Tron, as Matakai recommended, Damping Sphere is a pretty good option. You could play Vindicate in this deck, which is not bad. You know, there's a couple other cards that I'm sure you could think of that would be fine. I don't think you want to play stuff like Void Mirror. Void Mirror is not that great with your Asmora plan, and doesn't play super well with, you know, some of the other cards in our deck, that kind of thing. You know, if you tap Urza Saga to play a Cookbook, it counters that. So Void Mirror I don't think is the direction you want to go. Obviously we're playing a Crucible of Worlds in the sideboard, so you could obviously play like Ghost Quarter somewhere in the main deck, and that would probably be somewhat interesting for the Tron matchup, just to give you some extra utility. I do think I want to add a 21st land back to this deck, so some way or another I want to try and fit a 21st land in here. So that's the first thing I would probably do, is try and find space for a 21st land. But yeah, I mean, the deck looks interesting. Obviously, the most interesting thing that this deck has is the Ranger Captain, in my personal opinion. I think Ranger Captain is an extremely versatile card that's currently being underutilized in Modern. Ranger Captain is a 3-mana threat that grabs you an additional threat, Asmora being one of the more powerful options that you have in Modern. So I do think that, you know, that ability of Ranger Captain grabbing Asmora. And I threw in the Ballista plan with Heliod here, you know, as kind of like a side note. Maybe that's not the direction you want to take this deck. You know, you don't necessarily have to play this. You can go like all in on the Asmora plan and just sort of take out these 9 cards, and then you know, you have more of an Asmora deck. You could even take out the Lingering Souls. You have a little bit more of a tried and true Asmora deck rather than you know, a Heliod deck. But normally with the black-white versions, I think people have sort of been leaning on Stoneforge Mystic as an option. And I don't think necessarily that Stoneforge Mystic is very good in these decks either. So I don't know if that's better than this, but we did kill someone with the infinite combo at least once with Heliod. I don't know if we did it twice, but in any case, it definitely plays interestingly, and I think it could be something that I'm going to toy around with in the future. Like I said, the first thing I'm going to do is add a 21st land, and then we'll probably toy around with some of the numbers on this, and then the sideboard's kind of all over the place. I definitely need to mess with the sideboard. I don't even necessarily think that Crucible's playable in the current format, but it was just something that I thought was interesting. You could play with like Silent Clearing and Urza Saga, that kind of thing. So in any case, that's gonna wrap up the stream for tonight. I hope everyone enjoyed watching me just play some black-white Asmora pile. I know that we didn't have the greatest of games, but in any case, I do appreciate all you guys tuning in. If you're watching from YouTube, appreciate it. Thanks for checking out the content. And yeah, I think that's all I got for you for tonight. Feel free to tune into the stream on Thursday evening. Same time, we stream every Tuesday and Thursday evening. We'll stream at least one Magic Online League, sometimes two, if I have time. Tonight, unfortunately, I'm running a little bit short on time, so I'm gonna have to go take care of some stuff. But in any case, you know, the longer streams are obviously on weekends, Saturday, Sunday, that kind of thing. So if you want to catch me playing in a challenge, feel free to tune into those streams. In any case, thanks again for everyone tuning in. I hope you guys have a good rest of your evening here on this Tuesday. And I'll see you guys on Thursday. Catch you guys later.